Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining today from the Better Business Bureau is our friend Tiffany Schultz. Tiffany, welcome back to the show. And how are you doing this winter season?
I'm great. It's been a little warm.
That's why I asked you, because I know you're like, this has been a perfect winter. Not too much snow, not too much cold. Just perfect.
It's been great, and this gives opportunity for consumers to prepare their vehicles for the winter months that are coming ahead of us.
We sort of got a little bit of extra time this year so far, but given when you watch this, it may have already snowed again. But nevertheless, we're going to talk about how to prepare your car for winter. And some of these things are pretty standard, but it's good to check them out, especially maybe you got teenagers that just got their license and have their first vehicle, to somebody you're just seasoned to like, I have to do that every year?
Things that you maybe put off that you shouldn't be putting off.
We all are guilty of that, 100%. So where do you want us to start when we're thinking about getting this vehicle ready for the wintertime?
Think sooner rather than later. You don't want to wait until your car is broken down on the side of the road to do your regularly scheduled mechanic work. You want to make sure that you're checking your battery, check your hoses, check for under the hood, make sure that you're looking for any erosion, cracks in the belts, anything like that. Stuff that you can see that maybe just doesn't look right, and you need to get your car into a mechanic to take a peek at it before it does get too cold.
I think of the oil changes as like a good time to ask that if you take it into, for a mechanic, you can ask them to check that out. But even if you're doing it yourself, great chance to check all of those things and make sure they're intact.
Right. Oil changes can be anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Usually a mechanic will do a several point check on your vehicle, but if you are doing it yourself, you don't want to miss those things. I'll get to it later. I'm just going to change the oil now. Sometimes you don't get back to those things. So make sure that you are doing a once over when you are changing the oil, and that you stay up to date on those oil changes too.
Yeah, those will cost you big dollars if you don't, for sure. Some people probably have already done this because we have had some cold temperatures, but testing your heater defroster, pretty important deal, especially if you're going on a long trip or something. Like, you want to make sure that these things are working.
You don't want to be without heat. That's the worst thing that can happen, is your heat or your defroster does not work. So, even if it is in these warmer times and you're really not using it, it's not a bad idea just to turn it on to see if it works. Sometimes our shorter trips, our car doesn't even warm up until we get to our destination, so there's no need to really turn it on. Turn it on to make sure that it works.
Yeah, I like to just try it in about November. Okay, let's just make sure that this is good. And I heard there was a mechanic once that told me when you're looking at a new car, make sure you try the heater if you're buying a used car. Even if you're buying it the middle of July, just think about those things before you buy. But that's a different segment for another day. Otherwise, packing a winter safety kit. If you haven't done this, I totally buy into this. I got stuck in the car before, and I regretted instantly not having some things packed that would have made my life just a tiny bit easier.
This is so important to have that winter safety kit. Even if you just do short trips, you still want to have something in case your car breaks down, or maybe it starts snowing where you are, the snow is coming down fast. Think about the floods that we had several years ago. Nobody would have thought about that. You want to make sure that you have the basics in your car. So a blanket for sure. If you're somebody who runs to the gym, maybe in your shorts and tank top, have a warmer pair of clothes, some water, non-perishable food items. Non-perishable food items are great too if you have kids and you pick them up after school and they're starving, but that's not the purpose of a winter safety kit. Have a real flashlight, not just your phone. An extra charger for your phone is great too. All these items that would be nice to have, if something should happen, you're going to get stuck in your car or even get stuck in traffic.
And I like that you mentioned it could be a lot of shorter trips that you're doing during the wintertime, but you just don't know, right? It could be going on the belt line and you're going from point A to point B, and then all of a sudden the belt line closes and you're stuck in the middle, can't move, can't do anything, and it's snowing and you're like, I can't get out. Where do you... I'm just saying, it could be as close to home as it is far away. So I like to think beyond just your day to day.
The belt line on a good day could be a challenge.
The belt line on a good day, I'm reaching back into that non-perishable food bin, but that's a different story. Inspect the exterior of your car as well. Checking simple things down to the wiper blades. So important.
We think so much about the interior of our car. What about the exterior of our car? The windshield wipers are a perfect example. I've been stuck in a rainstorm. My windshield wipers just haven't been replaced and you got smudging going on, going into winter when snow can come anytime, you want to make sure that your blades are working well so that you can see as the snow is falling. You also want to check all of your lights, your blinkers, your tail lights. There's lights above the license plate. Make sure all of those are working properly.
I always like that first day after the time change and you see like cars with the lights on and they have one light on. I'm like, you knew this was coming. You knew it was coming. Like, it didn't just start today. Like, but anyway, that's a old man thing there. Checking tire pressure too. We'll end on that. The winter in cold weather and warm weather really screw with those tires. Like, it just happens every year.
And even pulling in and out of the garage too. You have a warmer garage and your tires inflate. And you can back out and your tire pressure goes down. So make sure that your tire pressure is set to where it should be set, especially in the winter months. The last thing that you want to do is be on the highway and your tire pressure light comes on and your tire pressure goes down and you're looking for an air pump at a gas station. So a great thing to check. Again, when you get your oil changes, the mechanic usually checks, but if you're doing it yourself, that's something that you want to put in the routine too.
And the tire itself, again, we're a little bit later into the winter season here, but it's still never a bad thing to make sure the tread on the tread on the tires is good too, because you need all the grip you can get on some of those tough winter days.
If you haven't purchased new tires in several years, it might be time to do that. There's always that penny trick that you can put in the thread of the tire. And
Lincoln's head, right?
Yep,
Love it.
If it doesn't come up to the head, you might need new treads, but something to think about and budget for if your tires do need to be replaced.
All right, well, if people want to learn more about keeping your vehicle ready and being ready for the winter season, I'm sure they can find more resources. I wonder where they would do that at, Tiffany?
BBB.org.
Oh, sounds like a cool place. Thank you so much for the tips, and we'll look forward to having you back soon.
Thanks for having me.